What's good, everyone? We are back again for another review and preview, as we always do on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. First of all, hope you guys are doing well. This is sort of going to be a bit of a therapy session, really, because last night was so bad. But yeah, appreciate, of course, all the support as always. If you're watching back on the live, then please do leave your comments and thoughts and your prediction for Mansfield after as well. Of course, I've done my match reaction earlier. If you haven't checked that out, just a bit of a rage. Obviously, like I would have done it last night, but I didn't get him till like nearly 2:00. But yeah, thank you for obviously the amazing support as always from everyone. Of course, if you are joining us for the live, then please do get your comments down in the chat. Any questions? Yeah, of course, if you do enjoy, smash the like button. As always, I appreciate all the support. All the comments. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I was going to say that the coach was actually pretty funny, actually, like with Neil and Harry's tuning in as well, like Lars and I. It's such a laugh on the way back. Yeah, I appreciate everyone tuning in. James saying, see, even into Riley as well, Sam, Harry Jenkins as well, Jake Gosley. Yeah, I said something stupid. I don't know why. Big up to you, though. Big up to Louis, maybe as well. But yeah, of course, there's no Neil tonight. He's out with the missus. He's been dragged along for a meal. So he will be back on the Sunday because we've got another game on Tuesday. So we'll do another live on Sunday. But I'm joined by Benji. Hope you're well. How you doing? How you feeling after last night?
All good, mate, and deflated is the word. Oh, actually, no, I tell a lie. I'm not deflated because I was annoyed at the time. I had a bit of a shambles of a day, got a cracked windscreen and drove like several hundred miles, so it wasn't a great day. And then I thought I'll get home, watch Rovers, get a takeaway. Rovers get on the telly, and I wish I hadn't watched it. But I felt deflated afterwards, but I kind of realised afterwards it's literally one bump in a road, and I just realised that that's the next biggest test. It was always going to be how we deal with it in terms of the setback. We were always going to lose. I didn't expect it or predict it to be Oldham. But we did. Onward and upwards. We've got Mansfield on Saturday, and that's the biggest chance that to go and put things right. So I'm not as deflated as I was yesterday. Absolute shambles on the pitch and off the pitch for me yesterday. So let's hope it's a bit better on Saturday.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, Harry Benji. Yeah, it was funny. I don't know why, but for some reason after everything, I was just saying like gas. So that's why he's put. Big up to Kai as well. Was it?
Oh, Rochdale gas, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a shambles. But yeah, he apparently Leanne was saying like that. Apparently, the bit of the motorway was closed, but it was just went a weird way. Then I was seeing signs for like Rochdale. And he was going but then luckily it was round the back way. So yeah, it was weird. Cracked windscreen. Jesus. But yeah, John sacked in the morning. But yeah, plenty to talk about, even into Josh as well, as always. Yeah, plenty to talk about, as we know. Getting into the Oldham game first, of course. Of course, losing 2-1. Of course, got the light. It was a bit of a weird lineup. There's plenty of changes in the lineup as well. Of course, like Yakola. It was like a 4-3-1-2. And it was strange. I want to get your thoughts first on when you seen the lineup come out, and then obviously what was your thoughts when you then seen Taylor that was out, and then put Connolly and stuff like that. But yeah, what did you make of the changes?
Well, I was I didn't actually see the initial lineups, so I was driving back from Glastonbury actually all the way up to the East Midlands, and I got in probably about 7:20. Looked at the phone, and I just saw a load of tweets saying that that Taylor had unfortunately been unwell, and then I looked at the lineup, and I wasn't worried, but I was sort of a bit sketchy about it. Obviously, Harris hasn't played a lot recently as well. Hall was out for a game. And then Harris and Connolly as a pairing. Basically, it's not necessarily more to do with the players. It was more to do with losing Taylor. So I was worried on that front. Surprised that Finlay started. Thought they might rest him. Because Button said about a number of players, let's not take any chances. We've got a long rest of the season to come up. Really pleased to see Elliot Anderson start. Also, similarly surprised to see Evans start. I thought with the knock and the way that he was limping after the Sutton game that he wouldn't start, and it might be a good game to put a Thomas in the middle, because I know he can play 10 as well. He's quite good in those little situations, and or even Elliot Anderson could have done good in there. We know he's good in tight situations as well. I can't believe Harry Anderson didn't start. I don't know what he's done, but he was obviously great for the 5-10 minutes that he was on against Sutton. And I think if you win a penalty and essentially take the point for your team, barring Evans slamming at home, then you deserve to start. And he's fresh legs at the moment, so he must have something wrong with him. He must be still carrying a niggle. Surprised at the lineups and surprised at the scoreline as well. Let's not talk too much about my prediction, eh?
Yeah, same here. I mean, because there's a comment because I think it was Ned, the Forest Green fan, because was saying, "Oh, you shouldn't." I mean, we weren't really underestimating them, but we were just sort of saying if the right, team or the right personnel and the mentality of the players turn up and you do your jobs right and you win your battles, then we should win. But none of that happened. Everything basically went wrong. The man. It looked like we'd never played together before. Everything was sloppy, giving stray passes like everyone. I mean, what was your thoughts as well? Especially like what did you make of the goals we conceded and the way and the manner we just like folded in the defence?
I think it shows the importance of not just Taylor but Belshaw as well. Harris was always going to be rusty, and I was kind of surprised that he was in the initial lineups anyway. But I think it was a combination of him and Amden that got it wrong for the first goal. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it could have been 3 or 4 to be honest. I actually thought they looked more like scoring than us all night. So I think that's the other most annoying thing, and that Oldham looked more not even dynamic. I think they were just quietly efficient, and they did some really clever things, but simple. So where they received balls in between midfield and defence was sort of like in line with like the edge of the penalty area. So it was a good width to either dart inside or you can still play outside as well. But that's also where the holes were because we were committing men forward. And I think there's another clip going around of I think it's Bahambula getting in down the right hand side where
Harry's just froze.
Harry's just stood there. I don't want to bang on about Harry's all night, but obviously he was unfortunately sort of emblematic of what we were doing. And he was just stood there whilst Bambula got down the right hand side, and I just thought that it wasn't just him; there were performances all over the pitch like that.
Yeah.
Nicholson played okay out of them. Collins tried hard, didn't get much out of the game, but there were some shambolic performances. I just think it shows you how much you miss the key players. And Josh Grant on that left hand side, I don't think would have let Bahambula in down like that. But Kean Harris got Bahamboozled.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was a good one as well. But that's what I mean. It was just so frustrating. There's just so much things that went wrong, and so many. I mean, it would have been okay if 2 or 3 players were off it, but like you said, it was pretty much the whole. And Barton admitted it as well. That basically everyone. I mean, like I said on the reaction, like. Collins and Saunders got no service whatsoever. Really, there was so much. We were so far back. There was not many players like going forward. Like when we got the ball, it was always like, possession, pass it back in the defense, and then there was no movement or whatever. Collins did well for the crossing for Nicholson's goal, and then I thought, like everyone probably thought, even though we were so bad, we managed to get that goal. The vital goal before the halftime whistle, and then you would expect a reaction. You'd expect probably Barton to go mad at him and get him rolled up and all that, but it was just the same, wasn't it? The same in the second half. Didn't look like scoring. That was the one thing that worried me the most as well, that is that we didn't really look like scoring or creating a chance that which you could say, oh yeah, that was a goal scoring opportunity. What was your thoughts on all of that? Like not looking like scoring and just creating as well.
Yeah, I was surprised when we scored. I was surprised when we scored, to be honest. I remember the actual moment we scored, and I was surprised that we scored because I was sat there thinking, oh God, let's get to half time only 2-0. And then obviously it was 2-1, which was a bonus. But I thought that must have been the kick up the arse moment, and it wasn't. I think Oldham kind of stopped us playing in a way as well, because as soon as they lost the ball, they were quicker to spring back into shape, and they put a lot more men behind the ball and made it more difficult for us to break down. And they weren't necessarily athletic, but they were sort of, they were quick and efficient at getting into the positions. They had a clear plan to play against us. And so I think that's what stopped us playing, really, when we didn't do enough. We didn't keep the ball well enough. And also Harris and Connolly were playing the ball far too long. Saunders and Collins aren't long ball type people. We need to be more patient. And when we started being patient, we got a little bit more joy. But that was far too late in the game to do that. And I'm so surprised that we keep playing long balls. In the games that we don't play well, we always end up playing long ball football without a long ball striker up front. Not all the time, some of the times that happened. And then I'm surprised Barton didn't just put a stop to it. Harris is capable of passing the ball well, so is Connolly. We know they're both good at passing, but do that instead of just lumping it long. The problem with that is when you give the ball to Oldham and they've got so many players set back so quickly, they're always going to win those aerial duels if you haven't got someone up there who's taller and more physical. And so you've won the ball back in defence, and straight away you're just blasting the ball downfield and recycling possession. It's stupid. And I also thought in the first half as well that the defensive line, I was saying that we really missed Taylor and Belshaw, and obviously Grant as well. But in terms of marshalling defence, Belshaw and Taylor wouldn't have let us sit so deep. So I don't think the rest of the team got the message because they were up past the halfway line. But probably about 10 to 15 yards or so, we always saw in the first half, Connolly and Harris with a huge gap between them and midfield. And then Cooks was getting swarmed over and lost the ball. I don't think he had a crap game as well, let's be honest. But I don't think it wasn't for want of trying. Like I said, we obviously got overrun in the midfield area as well because of where they were stationing players. But there were some, I think if we kept the ball a bit better, just put a foot on it, allowed ourselves to get a bit of a foothold and a breather in the game, then we would have done potentially snatched a second goal. But Oldham deserved to win, by far the better team on the night. Yeah,
it was just great. And that's the thing that I said as well, like, it wasn't that Oldham were amazing. It was just we were so poor. And like you said, when they had to defend, all of them defended. They helped, they put bodies behind the ball. And every time, they come forward, we just looked shocking, like balls over the top, even like the first goal, how easy. Like, we were saying in the preview, like they'd only scored once in 5 games and they go and score 2 past us, and it could have been 4 or 5 if it wasn't for goal line technology and the saves of Yakola. I don't know how, even from the away end, it looked like it was in. And yeah, it was just terrible every single time. Like, it was so worrying to see that. And like, I said how frightening it is to see a young 20-year-old not in the team and we just look a shambles. And like you said, I think, like you said, Belshaw gives us that voice at the back. You don't really, and it was just, and of course, like, Harry's doesn't, I don't want to keep banging on about him, but he doesn't give me, or seems to give any players, like, any confidence either. Like, Connor Taylor just settles us down and, we look a lot more confident, but it's just crazy, to be honest.
Yeah, I think just on your Yakola point as well, like, he's shown good and bad in both the games. And I think you have to put it down to him being a bit rusty, but he's not doing or yet fulfilling quite a lot of the side of the game that Belshaw was taking on with the sweeper keeper role. We did see it once or twice later on in the game. He was slower out to the ball. But Belshaw has such an aggressive position that allows the defence to get quite a lot higher. And perhaps that's probably half the reason why Harris and Connolly weren't as high, because you see that and you're not going to get anywhere near your keeper. You're going to push right up because that's what's happening. And also, if the keeper and the centre back, the more senior of the 2 centre backs, have barely played, then particularly because of injury and suspension, and also Harry's been left out of the team on form, then you're going to get rustiness. And I think Oldham just went at us and beat us. They were certainly the better team.
Yeah, I agree. Big up to Tom Butler as well, always tuning in. Said it was one of those nights, I'm afraid, when nothing went right. It happens. Play them again next week. We win 3-0. All about reaction. Yeah, that's what, like I said, that's what it says and that's what everyone knows anyway. It's all about the response, reaction. And I was going to bring it up as well, that the fact that, Barton, and it was fine. I don't blame Barton for any of it at all. I just don't know what do you put it down to, though? Do you put it down to sort of the mentality of the players? Like, you think their mentality would be thinking, oh, it's easy, or what do you put it down to? Is there anything in, that it really boils down to a certain point why we were so bad? Because, like I said in my reaction, that was because I didn't go to Exeter. For me, that was the worst game I've seen all season last night, the performance-wise. What did you make it down to?
It's a combination of things. I think it's very easy to say it's attitude or it's this or that, or a combination of players being unavailable or tactics. But I think it's a combination of things. But we just weren't good enough, and Barton was clear about that as well. if you had to sort of dissect it and bring out all of the cogs in that wheel, then I would say a little bit of player unavailability. Not that I'm putting any of these above the other. I think a little bit of player unavailability because it makes such a difference, and we've got Belshaw and Taylor in there and Grant as well. Oldham's game plan, where they station their players and getting men back behind the ball. I think actually we were shell shocked as well was probably a really big factor. I was watching it on iFollow last night, and I've just settled down, opened a beer, got my curry on the go, and switched telly on. 43 seconds, bang! But that's fine. I'm sat in my living room. Loads of people like yourself and Neil included have all gone all the way, for probably a 4 or 5 hour coach trip all the way up to Oldham, taking your seats, and bang! Oh, that's it. And we don't think we recovered from that until late in the game. We have conceded early goals before, but that really shell shocked us. And then I didn't see, I don't think there was enough leadership within the back line as well, because you've got a youthful player and someone who hasn't started a lot as the centre backs, and a goalkeeper who hasn't started a lot. So that, and I also, like I said earlier as well, we just weren't patient enough. We needed to get a foothold in the game, and instead we got worried and then just pumped long balls forward, didn't get any control of possession, didn't allow ourselves to build into our rhythm of play. And in doing so, we let them grab their own further foothold in the game, and could have been 3 or 4, really, couldn't it? So, a combination of things.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, there ain't really that one thing to put a point on it. It's just loads of things, like everyone, just everything. Like you said, Oldham, like you said, I thought they done well when getting everyone back, and then when they attacked, pretty much everyone went forward as well as a team. Off really bad off night. Like I said, it's all about the response now, because if we play like that on the weekend, we get absolutely battered.
I wanted to pick up Tom's comment there as well. I think he's absolutely right. It happens for the reasons that we've just said. We would probably batter Oldham again if we played him on a different night, because we'd know how to deal. We'd know how to deal with it better. I think we'd have better player availability as well. But it's also all about the reaction. I've seen so many people going off on one and saying that's it, that's over. No, yes, it was Oldham. We were expected to beat them, but there's going to be, there's how many more games, like 20 odd games left or something like that. So there's going to be ups and downs. We'll probably lose a few more games, and we've just got to do better than the rest of the pack and keep climbing the table. But we're not going to win and draw every single week. Which it is exactly about our reaction. Too many people are saying that's it, it's over, Barton out, and all that stuff. But it's not. Yeah. Let's just be honest. I think as fans, we have like a big role to play in that as well, and it really frustrates me when people think they're very up and down. 1 minute when we win, we're going to win the league, and when we lose, we're getting relegated, and Barton's getting sacked. Calm down. We've been on a good run of form. It always happens. It happens to all the good teams. Man City will probably end up losing against Brentford tonight, or hope not, because I've got them in my ACCA. But Liverpool's fans aren't going to get too frustrated when they have that random loss against, Watford or whoever. So, and we're not Liverpool and we're not Man City at the same time. So we need to be patient. We need to sort of accept this has happened, and we need to get that mem rocking on Saturday, because Mansfield, I don't know if you remember the game on the opening day of the season, but I thought they were a really tough, combative side who did things fairly efficiently. We deserve to lose that. Absolute Harry Screamer. And a good day, because that was the first time we were allowed in fans were allowed in stadiums for ages. But I think Mansfield would be an incredibly tough test, even at our place as well. And so, for all of us fans, not that I'm saying dress it up, and say that you can't polish a turd, can you? So don't dress it up and then say it's fine, we're amazing, we're going to batter them. No, just be positive and be like, we can do it on Saturday. We need to bounce back and just get that man rocking.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Big up to another Tom as well. Lots of those lads need to prove on you need to prove on Saturday. Nice to see standing on the score sheet again. Can't keep throwing those kind of points away if we're gonna contended. Positive vibes up the gas. Yeah, completely agree. Appreciate the comment and the continued support. As always, if you are enjoying this currently live, please do hit the like button. Really does help out the channel. Matt's was saying the game was lost at the beginning. You can't concede that early and expect to win games. Harry's worse. If Harry's ever going to get back, he'll have to play in another position. Big up to Ben as well. Appreciate you tuning in. Oldham will stay up. Yeah, I think there's sort of a feel-good factor as well now, because apparently there's new owners possibly or takeover talks, and fair play to them as well. The whole, their atmosphere was good, kept going, but it was always, And then that's the thing, especially when the fans are there and you concede early, you think then it all just drops, doesn't it? You feel just deflated, especially when we conceded early. And you think, it was always going to be tough after that as well. Missed you. Well, where I was, I don't know. It was obviously different on iPhone, but where I was stood, I didn't see, where there was 2 penalties. I know Barton brought up. Like, did you see anything? Does it look more clearer?
And I'm sure it was in the first half, but it wasn't clear enough on iFollow. But what I did see is a ball come across, and then I can't remember for the life of me who it was, but they were running in at pace, and then whoever the Rovers player is was one side of the defender, and then the defender was going that way towards the ball, and our guy was going with him, and then he just like spun and tumbled on his back and slid across the grass. So it's the sort of thing that it looks like it could have been a penalty because of the speed, and I don't think it could have been a dive, but that's the only one that I remember. It wasn't clear enough on iFollow, and I haven't watched the highlights back.
Yeah. I mean, it looks even worse. I watched the highlights when I got home. I was thinking, wow, it looked.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. I mean, I just wanted to see it again to see how bad it really was, and their goal as well, because everyone was saying they were pretty much celebrating. But yeah, I don't know why I watched the highlights.
Rubbing salt in the wounds after that long trip.
Yeah, I know, stupid really. I felt like out of attack was Nuffield or given chance. Yeah, they didn't really get a chance. They cancelled Jew out. I agree with Benji on the fan point. Yeah, absolutely. Tom saying, well said, Benji, as well. Yeah, it's all about, like you said, you can't just. It's always going to happen to any club when you're on a decent little run and you lose to a team second bottom and everyone's like, oh yeah, I mean. I've sort of changed it. If it had been probably a couple of months ago, I'd have probably been the same. But you just got to look at it, and it's always going to happen. Like you said, we're in League Two. We're not exactly Forest Green at the moment, are we? Like 18 unbeaten or like Mansfield. We're mid-table. We're fighting to go, but there's always going to be, bumps in the road and bad performances. Riley saying, I think Barton said Taylor is all right, so that's positive. Yes, well, I think he's going to have an operation at the end of the season, I don't know. It's all weird, really, but I just hopefully, nothing happens again. Mansfield fans trying to be busy to hit old pensioners. Yeah, that's what happened at the away game. But it was only one section. You can't just, they're not obviously all fans are like it. There's certain individuals at different clubs that are like that. But I mean, sort of ending, the reaction. Is there anything else that sort of you want to end with or chat about? Any certain players that really surprised you or how bad they were? Apart from Keane Harries, was there any other sort of players?
Yeah, I think we discussed Harries enough, haven't we? No, actually, there were people that worked hard, and people who worked hard still had really poor games, like Coots. I don't think people can say that he didn't try hard. He was a bit overrun and exposed. But they had a game plan, and that game plan probably impacted the other side of the midfielders most. Saunders just runs all game, doesn't he? But it just wasn't a game for him, and he tried hard without too much, end product, unfortunately. Who else? I thought Nicholson tried quite hard when he came on. Nicholson's hasn't had the most illustrious season so far compared to some of the magic that he's produced to us in the past. He scored. But Nicholson's defensive work often goes unnoticed. You watch him next time he's out, just watch him really intently and how quick he runs and aggressively runs in defensive situations, and he really commits to tackles. And he gets frustrated a couple of times when he doesn't get decisions. We saw that last night, but his defensive work shouldn't go unnoticed. And I was a bit questionable when I was questioning it rather when they were putting him in as a left wing back, away at Colchester, for example. But he runs so aggressively in defensive situations as well, and he's not like other forwards that take their time getting back. I thought we actually had quite a decent game and tried hard, and a lot of our good end products came through him and Collins on the left. I thought he was right to leave Nicholson out as well. I thought he did look like he was not tired, but he looked like if you just got that inkling, haven't you, when you think he could just be given a rest and then come back strong in a couple of games. And I thought that was a game for Harry Anderson. But I'm glad Nicholson came on as well, and just wanted to call out his good defensive work.
Yeah, I agree. And it was good though, wasn't it? Because we were talking about him and they hadn't scored, and it was good to see him get a goal. And hopefully now he can sort of boost his confidence a bit. And like you said,
Yeah.
his work rate is always good, you know. And like you said, most you know you can't blame the work rate. It was just quality. But like we said, it's always going to be, you know, inconsistent when you're in League Two and stuff. Ned, Forest Green fan, just my opinion, but Barton is your problem. Doesn't really know what he's doing, just winging it. I would say that just because he lost the game. For me, we had our issues early on in the season, but mainly due to a big influx of players in the summer. There was 15 players in and like 14 players out. And it was always going to be hard because we had a lot of injuries. I know teams have had injuries, but we had so many injuries. You know, pretty much a new squad. We have seen it gel a lot better. It was just one of those nights. I can't really blame Barton. It was just players, 9 or 10 players had an off night, and you know you can't do that.
I think that I don't think that was a Barton night. Whatever your opinion, and there's obviously like people who don't like Barton but still support the team, and people who love Barton. It's the same with most managers in world football, particularly him. I don't think you can put all of it down to Barton, apart from a couple of things. I would have thought he would have got better instructions across to stop playing long ball tactics and to squeeze his defence up as well. Those are the two things I do think he could have got better. But the rest of it has to be down to the players and also Oldham just being efficient in their game plan. We said last week as well about how I think it might have been after the show finished, about how Barton needs to get some credit for learning from some things. In my opinion, he was a problem in the season, despite us having a lot of players who are new, but also players that hadn't had a pre-season. So we didn't have enough time to figure out our best team. But there were square pegs and round holes, constantly changing, tinkering little formations. It was like a lottery with the team sheets. But he has learned from that, to his credit. He's also learned how to deal with the media better as well. Clearly, he's not pushing the promotion stuff as much anymore. But he's also, to his credit, and it's too late in my opinion, into the season, but he has found a formation that works, and he found a good group of players that works, and he's managing to get a strikerless side scoring goals. So he has to get credit for that as well. I'm not his world's biggest fan, but he has to get credit for some of those things that he's done, particularly in the last few weeks. But it will count for nothing if we don't bounce back on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Riley saying, like Benji said, yeah, that's the thing. We need to, especially after last night, it's all about now starting the game well. That's the most important thing. You need to start well, get the crowd up, because if you start poorly in that, and you know crowding up, then it's going to be hard. But if we need to start quickly. Josh saying, I did predict Sammy to score, so I'm in form at the moment. I reckon Harry's to score late. I'd love it if he scored. Obviously, like Benji said a minute ago, he scored the absolute worldie, probably a goal of the season or one of them in the other game. It's not Barton's fault. Mr. T Gaming, who's my brother, saying, I think it might really hurt us that we didn't get an experienced centre back in January. Yeah, I said that as well, but you can't, it's all things, isn't it? You can't get everything right. We've already, but we'll see what happens. Big up to Chris as well, as always. Go and subscribe to his channel as well. Really appreciate you tuning in. Big up to Billy Jackson as well. I think pre-Sheridan we would have gone there and won quite comfortably. He gave him a kick up the arse. That said, we should have been much better. Still have faith for Saturday. Yeah, I agree. That's a good point actually, because I don't know how many people follow sort of all the other clubs, but yeah, Sheridan coming back for like the 4th or 5th different spell, and him being like an Oldham legend, you could see it last night, with the fans. And of course, there are the results. I don't think they've lost in like 6 games now since he's come in. They haven't scored a lot, of course, apart from last night, the Rovers way. But that's what he's done. He's lined them up a lot better and stopped conceding goals and harder to beat. So yeah, fair play and fair play, and that's a good point from Billy as well. But yeah, 22 of you in. Please do hit the like button if you are enjoying it. Let's see if we can get 30 likes on the live. Of course, like you said, bringing up the the Mansfield game in the start of the season. What did you make of that? Because of course, it's very different now. I think Mansfield pretty much had their strongest team at the start. It was full of square pegs and round holes for us. There was a lot of changes. I don't think the only sort of striker we had was Saunders. I don't think we had a striker on the bench. And yeah, I think from what I can remember, we were pretty much dominated the whole game. They had a lot of chances, not loads of shots on target, but of course, Yakola made that sort of mistake, won it for the corner. And then we did manage to get back into it second half. And then, of course, I still think it was shocking refereeing, but of course, the ref gave a penalty like last minute for Mark Hughes. And then Paul Coots also got sent off that game. But yeah, what did you make of it? I know you touched on it briefly, but like you said, and we know their quality anyway in it for Mansfield, and especially with the manager they've got as well.
Yeah, classic away day. I think it was terribly policed. There was a few moments in the game where it just shouldn't have happened, like the Yakola one. The food was crap. Unsavoury scenes afterwards as well. But on the pitch, joking aside, yeah, I think Coots actually came out and said that red card that he got was because he hadn't had a pre-season and he was a bit off the pace. And so, was it that one or was it another one? I'm sure he said that or something similar.
Yeah, it was probably that one because
didn't he just put his head in his chest or something like that? Or didn't he shove him or like headbutt his chest or something? I can't remember.
It wasn't even. Yeah, I think it was just the Mansfield because he went down. I don't think it was. I think the ref just seen the Mansfield player go down. I don't think it was that bad. I think he had an absolute shock of that ref.
It was a shambles, yeah. I mean, you'd what's that bloke? The bloke we had last week as well. The referee Medley. If we, like him to ref us every week because he's probably the only good ref we've had all season. So he's not as bad as Brett Huxtable or someone like that. And we've seen him at the end of the season. But yeah, I think we lost the midfield battle on that day. We were still working out a lot of things. Obviously, it was the first game of the season. Strange experience as fans because you're not only is it the first time you've been in football stadiums for a year and a bit, but you're also trying to work out all your new players that you've not seen in person. And you've got Harry's playing at. Oh, actually, Harry's wasn't playing left back then. He was actually because Trevor Clark got injured first game of the season. Yeah. I was enjoying watching him fly up the wing, but I think we got dominated in the centre of the park in that game. Coots was clearly off the pace, and we had quite a few square pegs and round holes. So I don't think you can draw too much from that, other than that. I thought they were a solid physical outfit and moved the ball about well in the middle of the park. I think we can expect an even bigger test on Saturday.
Yeah, and especially, the signings they've also brought in January to strengthen. Matty Longstaff, who's scored 2 goals in the Premier League against Man United. You've got Lucas Akins, who started last night up front. Murphy, who started the first game, of course, ex-Rangers, Sheffield United and Burton. So very good squad, very well backed. Of course, 2 owners that always back the managers, even they back Coughlin, but obviously Coughlin done shocking there. But yeah, like you said, the manager as well is one of the best out there in the Football League, and what he's done for Burton and what he's now doing for Mansfield, getting them all on song as well. Big up to Mansfield Town FC, Alex as well. Giving his prediction, we will get on to predictions, but appreciate your prediction. That's a fair prediction. They're on fire. We will get on to like their record and stuff in a minute. Kai saying, who do you think will take the Walsall job? Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because start of this, I look like an absolute donkey now, but I said start of the season that I really like their signings, to be honest. It just hasn't worked out for Matty Taylor, and I don't know. What's your thoughts? What do you reckon who they'll get in? Have you seen many links, or what do you make of them? Because they've lost their last 7 games as well. So
I haven't seen any of the links, but they've losing your last 7 games, you're out. That's just going to happen, isn't it? It's unfortunate. I know Matty Taylor's a friend of Jerry Barton's as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't think they're one of the teams. So almost like Stevenage at the first half of the season, where we played them. We played Stevenage at home. And we thought Stevenage were going to be really good, but actually it turned out that we were just crap. And then I thought they were actually fairly decent, but now they've just gone the other way as well, a bit like Stevenage. They've got some good players and had some good signings in there as well. I don't think they're going to stay on that run of form forever. I have no clue who's going to take over. I don't see them as relegation fodder, but they're probably a mid-table team for this season if they can get it together. But they've got to be worried because potentially Scunthorpe have made a couple of decent signings, and so they could win some of the points back. Oldham are moving up the table, and they could be a bit worried. Don't know who's out there. We've just got to have to see.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Matt saying the Mansfield away game has the worst refereeing decision this season. Yeah, it was just, I just remember it. I was so annoyed because it looked like we were going to take a point out of that game. Then the next minute, you could just hear the Mansfield fans, shouting for a penalty, and the ref just gave it. And but it's going to be a totally different game. Because even up until about, the first 2 months of the season, they were down the bottom with us, and then they just went on some mad run, which they're still on, which is crazy. Josh saying, as much as I was pulling my hair out and throwing cans of Natch at the telly, there was changes, and our run was going to end eventually. If we can pick up a positive result next 2 games, we're back in it.
That's a waste of match.
Yeah, waste of match there, mate, definitely. Even a local Essex league referee agreed with us. Yeah. But yeah, like we said, it's going to be interesting. Like we know, we did, of course, lose that game 2-1. Ned saying, good chat as always, Charlie. Off to catch the Spuds and Saint game now. Saturday prediction 2-2. I'll take a point. But yeah, appreciate you tuning in as always, Ned. Going in, enjoy the Spurs game. But yeah, like we all know, they're, like we still talk about the sign-ins. They're a strong side, great manager. We'll get on to the last 5 games as well for Mansfield. Winning 4 and drawing 1. Beat Colchester 2-1, drew 0-0 to Harrogate away, beat Orient 2-0 at home, beat Barrow 3-1 away, beat Walsall 2-0 at home. And like it says there, the last 10 games, 28 points out of 30, 9 wins, and the solitary draw against Harrogate. So, yeah, it's going to be a very tough game. Of course, Rovers don't really want to look at last night, but yeah, got 2 draws, a loss, and 2 wins in the last 5. But it's going to be a tough, like we've already talked about, the other day on the, on the Sutton preview and the Oldham preview, is that we've got a very tough month. We got, of course, Mansfield this weekend. Then we've got Sutton at home. Then it's, I think, Stevenage away. Then it's Exeter at home, and then it's Orient away. So we've got a very tough month, and yeah, we need to really, as it says in the title, bounce back in hopefully in front of a packed Mem. It should be. I think Mansfield, even though their support isn't amazing, it's never going to be with like Forest and stuff, near it. It was always going to be, very interesting. I think there'll be a tough battle, perhaps even blood. Big up to Ford and Blue as well. 1-0 narrow defeat, being Ristic with a patched up team that will probably be sent out. It's going to be interesting. But the only good thing, one of the only good things, quickly getting onto this and then I'll talk about it. But of course, Mansfield, 5th in the league, played 1 more game than us, won 14, drew 6, lost 8, currently 11 points ahead of us in 5th. As we know, we've moved down a place, of course. Very inconsistent season, as it says right there. Won 10, drew 7, lost 10, 37 points, but we're at 10 points from the playoffs. But the only good thing going into this game, currently, especially after the result last night, is Mansfield's away form. Because their away form is pretty bad. 18th out of 24th in the league. They've only won 3, drew 3, lost 5. And they've only picked up 12 from 33 available. So that's really the only positive sort of thing we can look at, especially after last game. Of course, we will get on to our predicted lineups and score predictions in a minute, but it doesn't look good, really, especially after that. But, like we've said, and, Benji said, we need to really, really start well. What's your like, first thoughts really going into that Mansfield game on the weekend?
Sorry, trying to find my unmute button. My dog's snoring away down the side of me after that bone that I fed him to shut him up at the start, and couldn't find the unmute button. We need a reaction, and that's why the fans are so important, because we talk about the 12th man or the positive mood at the club. men with 8,000 people was mental, and it's fantastic, isn't it? And they really get behind people. That away form stat is really interesting, and probably if you've only won 3 of your away games, but you're still 5th in the table, then that's probably going to be. And I'm guessing some of those are coming in the last sort of 5 to 10 games as well. So they might not be as completely accurate. I reckon on the form table they'll be at the top, wouldn't they? Gives me some hope. Probably slightly bigger pitch than their place as well. I don't think we should underestimate them. Look where they are on the table, and remember as well that they had a shambolic part of the middle of the season, didn't they? I'm sure they were losing quite a lot of games in a row, and there's some really bad form. So to be 5th and have the form that they have shows that they're a really strong side. Obviously they've got Lucas Aikins as well and Matty Longstaff in there. So I think we shouldn't underestimate them. But we need a reaction, and we need 110% from everyone, fans included. We also need to be realistic, and this is a game against the top 5 as well. We took a point off Sutton, who were in a similar position away from home when we didn't play well. So we need another similar performance, but a similar result rather. Nothing but a reaction needed. I don't know what Barton's going to do. I think that don't need wholesale changes after defeat, but just that reaction is all I want to see, and I'll be happy if we get one.
Yeah, that's like you said. That's all we need. Matt said, I don't think it would be right to rush. No need to rush him back. I think even though Yakola isn't sort of the sort of agile, fast off his line keeper that Belshaw is, he's still a good shot stopper, and it showed last night with a lot of good saves to stop it being 4-5-1 against second bottom of the league. But yeah, of course we will get into our lineup predictions. Please do keep smashing your comments, your thoughts, and leave your lineup. Who would you start on the weekend? Of course, we don't really know about Evans. Will he start? Will he be fit? I don't really know. I don't think Barton will give much away. So, we'll probably still include him, but, we'll obviously have alternatives and stuff. And of course, Alex, if you're still here, the Mansfield Town fan, let me know what Mansfield team you would have. They usually play a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. So they don't play with wingers. They usually play with basically 4 centre midfielders. Of course, they're experienced Stephen Quinn, who's 35 now in Cameron. Last night they did have Lucas Aikins and Reece Oates up front, but then they had Longstaff on the bench. He hasn't played for them yet. Yeah. They got the likes of Danny Johnson, who was, I think, top goal scorer for Orient last season. He hadn't even made the starting 11 in the last few weeks, so it should be very interesting. Big ups to Rob as well. Good morning to LA from a wet and dark Somerset. Josh saying, what's the situation on Grant? Yeah, Grant will be available. I think he was just being rested. Because he's bit of a picked up a few knocks. I think Barton was saying about the Sutton pitch, wasn't it? Some weird name like pendulatus or something. Any small flaws with Yakola can be worked on with Tony Warren. It's not even that. He's just they're completely different keepers. Yakola's from the time he's been like it with us, he's never been that sort of goalkeeper to be quick off his line and stuff like that. But got one. McLaughlin is 31, but close. Yeah, he's quality though. He's sort of like winger, but he's now playing left back for them. He's done very well so far. Matt's going with Yakola, Hall, Taylor, Connolly, Grant, Coots, Finley, Nicholson, Evans, Thomas, Collins. But yeah, Benji, getting into your lineup, what are you going to go for?
I've got 2 lineups because it depends on Evans. I don't know how he's going to arrange it, and I hadn't really put any thought like I had last week on how to play against their formation. I actually think a narrow and compact 4-2-3-1 could do the trick, because not narrow but more compact, because they put bodies in the centre of the pitch, and obviously they're expected to cover almost like like the midfield in a 4-3-3. Those 3 people, if you watch, let's say Liverpool or something, they're expected to cover outwards as well as forwards, backwards, and it demands a lot of midfielders when you're asking them to cover a gap which you haven't got anyone stationed in. And so if we not narrow, but if we're more compact than we were last night with a 4-2-3-1, I think that could work. I think we could exploit some space in behind the fullbacks as well if they're bombing on. Belshaw plays for me. I'm sure he said that he should be back for it, and he wasn't rushing them back for the Oldham game because he missed the Sutton one as well. We saw his importance to the team, and it's not for Nicola being a bad keeper. We know that his shot stopping on his day is as good as many other people, and if not anyone else in the league. But he's slower off his line and isn't the sweeper keeper. Great keeper, just not the same as Belshaw. And Belshaw is asserted the authority over our defence that they've needed and that we're used to. And so I think we need that back. Hall starts at right back. Didn't have a great game last night, not for want of trying, but he needs a run of games to develop. No-brainer. Taylor goes in for me. I hope he's all right to play. Obviously, it sounds like a situation that can be managed, so I hope that is the case and that he's all right. Connolly plays. He looks great when he plays with Taylor, and he looked crap when he played with Harries. But I think he was playing on the right-hand side, wasn't he? And he usually plays on the left for us. An absolute no-brainer. Josh Grant comes in. Coots and Finley as the two holding midfielders. Don't need an introduction for them. Yeah, Coots had a bad game, but again, it wasn't for want of trying last night. This is where it gets interesting. Is if Evans is in, then I've actually left Thomas on the bench. I think he's been one of our most improved performers recently, and I really, really like him as a player. But it's just because I'm itching to get Harry Anderson in for a game on the wing because he's fresh. And if you've got someone with that kind of pace to exploit outside of their narrow shape, then I think that could work really well. If Evans is fully fit, then he starts. But I'm not entirely sure if he's going to be. They might have. I don't know if there's enough time to rest him and then get him trained and conditioned, ready for Saturday. And if he doesn't, I'm not sure who to play. I probably would go. If we've got a lot of attacking foothold in the game, it could work to put Thomas in there because he's still tenacious defensively, but he's not the biggest figure. And so actually, I think we might end up seeing someone like Sam Finley pushed further forward if Evans isn't in there. But I'll go with Sammy Nick on the left. Despite my comments on him looking like he's tired and he needs a rest, he produced the goods and was really tough in the tackle on Tuesday. And Collins up top. But yeah, if Evans, thinking about it again, I think I probably, if Thomas doesn't play on the right and Evans isn't fit, then I would expect potentially even Elliot Anderson actually to play in that hole because he does do a lot of the running defensively and he's dynamic enough to play it. So yeah, it's a tough one, and it really for me if we haven't got Evans, then it has to be Elliot Anderson in there, and I'd be really interested to see if Evans makes it through to the Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, that's interesting, like you said, with and without Evans. Jack's forward saying my team is the same as Matt. I think is pretty spot on. Riley going with Yukola, Taylor, Connolly, Hall, Grant, Coots, Finley, Evans, if fit, Saunders, Collins, and Anderson. Riley saying Jack's Anderson. Yeah, if Taylor isn't that fit, then yeah, and I'd prefer Anderson to see centre back. I think he looks a lot more comfortable there. He's very good at winning headers in the air. Like you said, his pace lets him down on the wing. So yeah, I think if Taylor can't play or if he's going to be rested, then yeah, I'd go with Anderson. Yeah, that's a fair shout. Forgot about him at centre back since he's been covering left back. Big up to Ethan as well. Appreciate you tuning in. 4-2-1-2 with Nathan Bishop in on loan from United, Elliot Hewitt, of course, John Drew O'Toole, and he now plays he can play anywhere, but he's been playing centre back for Mansfield, which is interesting. McLaughlin left back, Maris, Longstaff, Clark, Quinn, Oates, and Barry. Think we would bring on Akins, Murphy, and Wallace. So all their new free signings, and he would start Longstaff as well for his first start since he's joined there as well. Riley saying a bit different, but I like Saunders and think we should play Anderson out wide. Yeah, I mean, for me...
Which one?
yeah, what one? But yes, for me, it's very tough. If Taylor and Evans are fit, then I would... I would put Belly in goal, even though Yukola's done well. I just think we missed that sort of more of a talker and more of an agile keeper that actually plays the way we do now. So Belshaw would be in for me. Our normal back four of Luca Hall, Connor Taylor, Connolly, and Grant. midfield of Finley, Coots, and Evans. And then I would play Anderson on the right, Collins up top with Nicholson on the left. If Evans doesn't play, then that's an interesting one. I don't know, it's tough. If Evans doesn't play, I would probably bring in Whelan and play Whelan and Coots sitting and have Finley more attacking, because I would rather have like Elliot Anderson to come off the bench, sort of like we did at Sutton, where we played Whelan and then we brought on Anderson. I think it'd be better like that. I think
Elliot Anderson will start. I think the way that Barton talked to him about it, he literally just said, you find a way to get these players in your team. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him again in that role with Finley pushed further forward if Evans isn't available. For all the Mansfield fans watching, if Evans isn't available, it will be a huge blow to us. So the bloke's got some of the best delivery in the league, if not the best. But Elliot Anderson will be probably my candidate to play centre, because he's got the legs and he's got the agility that Evans does as well. We're just yet to see that in full flow in 90 minutes yet. So it could be a huge game for the making of Elliot Anderson.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure Matty Longflat will know all about him as well, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Both at Newcastle together, yeah. So, yeah, both still currently there, just both on loan. So, yeah, it'd actually be a good test if both play as well. Do you think Gasses will remember? Yeah, I should imagine so, if they keep up to date, if they're one that keeps up to date, or get O'Toole's DM and Farah and Rawson at the back. Yeah, and keep Maris on the bench. So, yeah, that's how they play, formation-wise. Mansfield, yeah, like I said, 4-2-1-2, and a lot of quality and a very tough team. Like we said, nine wins out of the last 10 with only one draw is just absolutely mental. But like with us on our little run, there's always there to lose. So hopefully, you never know, but we will get onto predictions in a sec. Belly should be back. Whether Barton changes him, who knows? I would start Belcher, but I still think it'd be pretty harsh for Yukola to be dropped after his performance. But who knows? We'll see what Barton does. Yeah, I agree, Tom. Me and Benji both said that as well. Anderson has to start. I think Luke Thomas is just better coming off the bench. I think especially for this game, I'd love to see Harry Anderson back as well. Jack Ford saying, Ollie Clark and O'Toole slightly gonna. Yeah, I mean, for me, even though O'Toole was an absolute idiot when he left, or I think you can sort of blame the fan, because some fans attacked him, didn't they, when we got relegated? I mean, it was that long ago as well. God, that's a long time ago. What was that, 2013, 14, wasn't it? The last, and he was only with us for us, and he got 15 goals as well for midfield. So even though he was very good, I'm not going to boo or anything though to any of them, because it's a Rovers thing. It's a team thing as well. Whenever an ex-player comes back, most of the time, they will score if they get a load of stick. So, yeah, I'm not going to be booing them.
I don't think he'll get as bad of a reception as Stefan Payne would, put it that way. Yeah. O'Toole will get. Yeah, but I'm for me, I'm not going to boo him. I know he was an idiot, and I know he's an ex-player, and he left in sort of bad circumstances, but if it wasn't for his goals, we would have been relegated in November, because that team was an absolute shambles that went down to the conference. Getting on to predictions now. Of course, everyone get your predictions down in the comments below. Leave a like on the video if you are enjoying as well. Please do subscribe if you're new as well. But yeah, starting with you, Benji, what is your prediction for Mansfield at home? I've been thinking about this for ages, and I went draw first in my head, and so I was actually going to go with somebody left a comment earlier saying 2-2. I'd take that. I don't hope Ollie Clark scores from 30 yards, Alex. But then maybe 2-1 loss. I think maybe we might lose 2-1. Mansfield are just in incredible form, and I think you can not necessarily disregard in complete totality that stat with their away form, because a lot of it's actually been recent as well. I just think that'll be a really tough test. But then my head's
we're going to react to Tuesday night. The players are going to be so pissed off because Button says, or rather, Anthony Evans said after the Sutton game, there's a proper brotherhood going on in that dressing room, and everyone fights for each other. They will do that, but I just wonder whether Mansfield have proved slightly too strong for us for where we are right now, and they'll then get that late goal to win 2-1, or will it be 2-2? I don't know. If it's easy to look at it in gambling terms, and sometimes, and I would put a double chance bet on a Mansfield or draw. I reckon. I don't know if we've got enough to snatch it. It'll be a big surprise if we snatched it. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a Rovers thing, wouldn't it, to go and lose to Oldham, then beat Mansfield? It would be a Rovers thing.
But we need another statement performance, and the problem is that we keep leaving ourselves the need to go and make a statement win. We've done it. We've drawn against Swindon. We've drawn against Sutton. Now's the time to go and beat them. So I was wrong on my prediction on for Tuesday, and so I hope I'm equally wrong with this one. I'm going to go 2-2. Actually, I'm going to go 2-2. There we go. 2-2. I'll put a tenner on that.
2. Yeah, I'd take that, to be honest. Obviously, we'd always be nice for a win, but you just got to use your just brain and think with your head and not with your heart. I mean, if I was to do a prediction and say a head and heart prediction, my heart says 2-2 like you, but my head says a 2-1 loss. But I'm gonna go with 2-2 as well. I'll go with the same as you. But yeah, let's see what everyone else is saying. But yeah, Alex is saying, to be honest, 2-0 Mansfield or 2-1 Rovers. I think it will go either way. Yeah, that's fair enough. Very unbiased as well. So fair play. Yeah, hopefully Ollie Clark doesn't score worldies. He used to score a lot of worldies at Rovers. And I used to like him, and it really showed when we got rid of him how much we struggled as well in the midfield, for me personally. I know he was sort of like, what's the saying? It was sort of like half and half, wasn't it? Some people really liked him. There was some people that used to always moan about him, but for me, I liked him. Tom Butler saying 2-2 as well. I reckon a decent reaction against the form team of the league. Yeah. At home, we're a different side. I mean, yes and no. I think the main problem with us at home this season is the first half, because we haven't been good in many first half games this season. We really need, if we're going to get anything out of this game, we need to be good for 90 minutes. And we haven't, even all season, we haven't been good for 90 minutes. For me, even like you look at Carlisle, we were poor in the first half, beat them 3-0 second half. Walsall, sort of half and half, and then so
Oldham home as well. We were like Barcelona without the end product in the first half, and then the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. So it all depends, but like we've all said and talked about, we need to be good for the whole game and start well. But we'll see. Mats is going for a 1-0 clean sheet against Mansfield. I would go mad for that.
Clean sheet against Mansfield is a tall order, isn't it?
Yeah. At least he's good to see he's confident though.
Yeah. I wish I had that confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I usually do, but after going to that ground last night and seeing us get absolutely pummeled by second bottom of the league,
I'm usually the optimist, but I'm going middle of the road with this one after last night.
Yeah. Header from a set piece, free kick. So is that 2-0 or 1-0 then? Header and a free kick. Not liking these predictions. Jack's 14 got to predict a win. Blind faith, I guess. 2-1 Gas. Would love a draw, to be fair. I think it'll be close. Let me just do something. Yeah. All right, they're blocked as well. I don't know who the hell that was. 1-1 with Aaron Collins to score first. So, yeah, I mean, if you haven't already, do get your predictions in. I mean, a lot of people are still pretty confident. I think mine's more of a heart prediction than a head. I think going with my head, we'd probably lose 3-1, really. But being the optimist that I am and that Benji is, I think we've just gone for a draw. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Of course, it is. Good manager. The form of their life. The best. I think it's the best run in the club's history, if I'm not wrong. Let me know, Alex. Is it the best history the run that you've been on I think it is. I think I've seen it somewhere. Alex is saying if you go up 1-0. Oh, if you go up, hopefully. Yeah, like we said, it's going to be a very tough game. But yeah, like, most people are pretty confident. Big up to Dave as well. Need 4 points in these next 2 home games against playoff contenders for any hope we get top 7. Yeah, it's going to be 2 important games, especially the next 2, to see how we react. Of course, don't forget Sutton is on the Tuesday night. We will be back on Sunday for another Sutton preview. Of course, we only played them on Saturday, but yeah, we will be back for that on Sunday at 7 p.m. So don't forget to tune in again for that one. Of course, like match reaction and everything else will be out after the game on Saturday against Mansfield. Hopefully, a bit more of a positive sort of talk. Hopefully, but Mansfield, Alex said it was a club record straight 8. Oh, which was 8. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's good. Fair play. 8 wins in a row. But yeah, we're going to end it now. Like I said, appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Good to see some new faces as well. Do subscribe if you are new. If you enjoyed the stream, then do smash the like button. Go and follow me and Benji on socials as well if you feel free to do so. Appreciate, of course, Benji for coming on. Of course, Neil will be back as well on Sunday. But yeah, appreciate you watching. Smash the like, and we'll see you in the next one. Up the gas. Let's get a win.